George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. TeNesha Murphy is the Public Information Officer for the New York State Department of Transportation. So if you've been following, apparently I have not been. So I'm driving on 481, the other day, TeNesha, and me and my daughter are having a conversation, right? My smart alecky daughter, she's like, you know, Dad, that the 481 from exit 16A to exit 29 is going to become the new 81, and this part is going to come down. I was like, only the 1.4, I said 1.7. I said, only the 1.4 miles is coming down, and this highway is not going anywhere. And she's like, yes, it is. I'm reading it right from the website. I was like, uh-oh, I missed a step. So let me back up. So as you may know, I-81, the DOT, 81, as we know it, that highway through downtown Syracuse has reached the end of its useful life at that 1.4 mile viaduct. And so the DOT is going to take it down and make a community grid, or a grid, right? Take it down and make it street level. All right, so here to help us find out just where we are and clarify exactly what's going on, TeNesha, help her brother out. So I didn't like losing that argument. It wasn't an argument, but I totally missed this whole thing about 81 now. Oh, so 481 becoming 81, and then some changes. So lay it down for me, sister. Where we at?
Okay, well, the I-81 Viaduct project has begun. All the years of public meetings, of design, of planning, of environmental impact statements, of final environmental impact statements, of records of decision, that's all been completed. And now we're able to start the project. I will just say in the beginning, a lot of people do know that there is, we're going through a legal process right now. And so with that, we are allowed to start the project, but we're not allowed to completely finish it. So, and that's basically all I can say about the legal process. But what the judge did say is that we can go ahead with contracts 1 through 3. And so for those joining us on YouTube, I wanted to give a little presentation, and George, feel free to interrupt me as I'm going to ask questions, because this is a massive project and it can get very confusing. So it's easier for me to share my screen with you. Hopefully I am. Am I ready to do that?
Go right ahead.
Yes. Okay, so I have this little PowerPoint that I want to share with everyone. And it looks like it's sharing. Let me know if you can see. There we go. And so this is basically when I talk about contracts, the contracts, okay? So there's 8 contracts as part of this project. And the 8 contracts are broken up into 2 phases. So phase 1 of the project are contracts 1 through 5. And basically what those contracts are doing is the preparatory work, is preparing everything so that we can take that viaduct down that you were talking about. That 1.4 mile stretch of viaduct that runs through the middle of downtown is coming down. So you were right about that argument with your daughter. And so, but before we can do that, we have to prep the area so that the cars that are going through there now, can be dispersed around the city while we're taking that down. So we're working on contract 1. Contract 1, if you're on YouTube, is part of the Northern Interchange. And so basically that's up in Cicero, near somewhat the Drivers Village area in that vicinity. Yeah, so that interchange is I-481 and 81. Okay, so what the project is doing is they're taking I-81 and they're redesignating it to make it the new I-81. So in that interchange, we have to create the Interstate 81 main line that will start carrying the cars on I-81. So these are the contracts. I'm just going to move on to what it will look like. So here is a rendering of what the new interchange will look like once we're finished the work up there. So if you're looking, George, you see this green shield here that says it says 81 on it, but it's green because
Right.
that's considered the business loop. So right now, if you're driving, let's say you're coming from the airport and you're headed up to Watertown and you're leaving the airport and you get on what is now 81, that's going to be considered business loop 81 in the future. That's not the new 81.
Right.
And so like, let's just, say we're going, so you're going to be on the business loop 81 and you want to go to Watertown or you want to go to Cicero or you want to go to Mexico. You stay on, where's my little mouse here? You'll stay on this business loop and you see this flyover bridge here, George?
Yes, yes.
The flyover bridge is the business loop over top of what is the new I-81. So you take the business loop and you circle it around and that dumps you into 81 headed north.
Which
okay?
is, okay, got it.
Yes. All right. And so if you're coming from Watertown and let's say you're trying to go to Lafayette or Tully or Pennsylvania, and you're coming from that northern, you're on I-81 coming south, you will take the new 81 and instead of going on the business loop, you will take the new 81 and you see my mouse here, it's curving around and it's going to curve around and and it goes underneath this bridge here and that's the new 81. So 81 is going to be you curve into what's now 481.
Which is now 481. Now,
yes.
Here's a question for you. I mean, this may be a different question. What happens? So what happens to 481 that goes to Fulton, that part?
Yes. So what you're looking at here, right here with these white symbols where it says 481, that becomes New York 481. So it's like a state route,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, and that, let me move my little boxes here from us. So basically, can you see this bridge right here?
Yeah.
So today, when you are coming from, let's say you're coming from, Kirkville Road, okay? Right. And you're headed, on New York 80 on I-481 headed north, I guess it is.
Right.
And you let's say you want to go to Watertown. Today you would have to take an exit to get on 81 going north up to Watertown. But in the future, you're not. You're just going to curve around. If you can see my mouse, you're just going to curve around and stay on 81. And the people that want to go to Fulton take this bridge. They are going to take the exit and exit up here over the bridge and go straight and head on up to north to Fulton or Oswego or Clay or whatever.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so if you're coming from Watertown and you want to go to Destiny, you want to go to downtown Syracuse, or if you live in Cicero and you want to go those places, instead of taking 81, you'll take the business loop, which is what is today 81. So yes, right. And so yep, you'll take a little exit off of 81 and it's going to bring you to the business loop. So if you follow my mouse here, this is the business loop and it's headed south towards the city, towards the airport, towards Mattydale, towards 90, that's down here. It's going to be the same thing. That road is kind of be the same. It's just going to be called business loop. The speed doesn't change. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, once you get on the business loop, you're going to have to do 30 miles per hour. No, it stays the same speed until you get
to downtown.
Yep, until you get downtown. Exact. Take it to 690.
Because it'll probably be the same. All right. So this is contract one. Contract two.
Contract one. Okay. So the next one is, this is just some information about contract one for those. It was awarded in January. It's a $300 million contract, practically almost $3 million. Right. The spring and summer, we've been doing preparatory work. We took down some trees, we took down noise barriers, we widened lanes, we started building large culverts, and then this fall and winter, we're going to start the foundations for those noise walls that we took down because we're putting up new noise walls, and then we're going to start working on the interchanges bridge and their culvert construction. So that's kind of what's happening with contract one. Contract one should be completed by the end of 2025. Next up is contract two, which is the southern interchange.
That's where I live. That's where I'm affected.
Okay, now we're getting to you. This is where you was coming from. Okay,
that's where I was coming from. Exactly. Coming down.
Right. So this is our design that we designed for Contract 2. Now, the big thing with contracts 1 and contracts 2, they are called design build contracts.
Okay.
So what that means is that the DOT basically designs it up to a point, and then we turn it over to the contractor that wins the bid, and we say to them, you know, you kind of design the rest. This is what we want it to look like. This is what we think it should look like, and you design the rest. And so those are called design build contracts, and that's for contracts 1 and contract 2. When we get to contract 3, I'll explain what that is. So these contracts are kind of, we build them up to a point, and then we let the contractor build the rest. Right. So this was our proposed design for the contractor when we gave it to them. And as you can see on this, okay, now the new, where my mouse is right here, George, is the new 81 coming south.
Right.
And this is the new 81 going north. Okay, you have Brighton Towers over here. You're familiar. Right. So this looks really good. You see everything.
Yeah.
And over here, which is kind of what is right now, 81 turns into the business loop. Okay. You see how the business loop is going underneath 81. So there's these 3 bridges here. Bridge 1, 2, 3. Your business loop's going to go underneath, and it's going to go, go on into the city of Syracuse. Once you get past kind of the cemetery, Oakwood Cemetery, then it starts to slow down. Okay, so
and then it's going to come down, and you're going to exit.
Well, it's not really exit. It's just gonna gradually come down to the street level. Yes, and then you're gonna go through a roundabout. We'll talk about that when we get to that area. Right. And then you'll start getting into the lights, into the street level part of it. Yes, but it won't be an exit. It's just gonna be. It's not like today, like where you take the Adams Street exit.
And you get off.
You get off. No, you're gonna gradually. It's gonna go down into a street level. Yes. So anyway, the highlights about this really are, let's see, the main highlight is that you see this East Glen right here. Yep. So East Glen is going to be a new interchange that you can get off of from the business loop. So if you take the business loop and then you can get off here at East Glen, and East Glen will take you over to Brighton, or it'll take you right over to Loretto. We don't have that today. Right. Today, you would either need to go 481 north and get on Rock Cut Road and come around to go to that, or you would have to take exit 17, which is South Salina Street and Brighton Ave, and navigate through that way. Right. But in the future, it's going to be a direct access to Loretto. And East Glen, we're moving East Glen. Right now, East Glen is over closer to Jaquith. So we're kind of moving it south a little bit to line up with that light right. I'm going to circle it right here. So there's a light right here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's all going to be lined up right now. Today, when you get off of that Brighton exit and you're heading south and you get off on Brighton exit, if you want to go to Loretto, you got to make a right and then a quick left. And that kind of causes some crash patterns. So we're moving the East Glen Avenue to line up with that light. So if you want to go to Loretto and you're coming from the south, you could just cross right over the bridge. So that's how those are some main highlights of this area. So this contract is already started. It just recently started this summer. It was awarded to our contractor CNY Alliance, which is a conglomerate of 4 different contractors. It's nearly $385 million. This summer, they did some geotechnical work. They started working on the traffic pattern changes. And there's also work in this contract in the town of DeWitt and in the town of East Syracuse. And I'll get to that in some future slides. This winter, they're going to be putting up a visual barrier for Loretto. They're going to start the noise barrier construction because there's a few noise barriers that's going to go up on this contract, and they're going to begin to build Brighton Ave because there's going to be they're building a new bridge for Brighton Ave. All right, so George, what is going on now with contract 2? The biggest impact are the ramp closures. So we have 2 ramp closures that are happening right now, and they are if you're traveling I-481 southbound to 81 southbound, that ramp is closed. And then that detour, they detour you. It's a short detour through the city where, you just take I-81 north to exit 17, which is the South Salina Street Brighton Avenue, and you jump right back on I-81 southbound. That's a short one. Then we also have another ramp closure if you're coming from I-81 south, going to I-481 north. And that ramp closure has a detour where that has you getting off at State Street, hopping on East Brighton Ave, and then hopping on Rock Cut Road to get back onto I-481 north. Those two ramps are going to be closed for basically the duration of the contract, which ends in at the spring, summer of 2025. So those ramps will not be opening back up.
That's a minute.
Yeah, that's a minute. Yeah, because basically, as you can see for the YouTubers here, those two ramps are in the dead smack in the middle of the interchange there, and so the contractor had to shut them down to be able to work on switching out the interchange. So
and
if
you travel that every day like I do, you can see that they're mowing down the hill.
Yeah,
big grass, the
berm. They have to take the berm down. Yes, very
berm.
good,
Thank you. I called it the big hill grass, but you can see, and it's so it's like first it was a lot of grass, now it's and then every day we go through there, it's getting lower and lower.
Yes. And I will say the crew that's working on that, very diverse crew working on that. I mean, there's about 5 women, several minorities, and it is beautiful to see that, see us all out there working on that part. Is great. So we're very excited about the diversity of the workforce on these projects. Just moving on a little bit here, I was talking about earlier, there's going to be a visual barrier in the future for Loretto that's going to kind of protect that business from the new business loop there. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the visual barrier off to the right-hand side of the screen here. In this car, there's new ramps, like I was saying before, that will lead you to East Glen. And so if you're, there's going to be a couple ramps, and this is a rendering of the business loop there. And then over in DeWitt, exit 3 in DeWitt by the DeWitt Wegmans, there's going to be some work done there under contract too. And basically what's going to happen is that they're going to create this off ramp that currently just lets you make a left onto West Genesee Street to get you up to Erie Boulevard, the former Shoppingtown Mall area. They're going to make that ramp where you can make a left or a right. So they're putting a light right here, and you're going to be able to make a left or right. So we're going to stop traffic. This traffic light is going to help people who are coming from the north, headed north. So if you're headed north on 481, which will eventually be 81, and you want to get off to go to DeWitt, you kind of like waiting, and you're like kind of, playing like double dutch, when can I get in, and so this light right here is going to cause a little pause of traffic so that the people who are on this exit can turn safely onto 5 and 92 here. So, if you want more information about that, there's lots of renderings on our website you can go and find, but that's a huge change for this area. And then what else? And so then we have our contract 3. And contract 3 is in the Inner Harbor area. What you're looking at here is basically Bear Street. There's going to be a new off ramp from Bear Street onto the business loop. And we're going to tighten some things up and work on some bridges in that area. This contract has not been awarded. We have not started on it yet. It is going to be awarded probably by the end of this year. And then the contractor will start working in this area in the spring of 2024. So spring of next year.
And so, TeNesha, if the lawsuits, so there's a lot of if. So say there was no lawsuit.
Yes.
Let's start with that idea. When would the whole thing be done?
The whole thing will be done by the end of 2028.
2028. All right. So 5 years from now, all things considered, court battles, Okay.
Right. Yeah, if there were no contracts, yes, the plan was to be finished by the end of 2028. Absolutely, yes. Right. Which means that, this is what I think some people don't realize, right now, we should have really been almost all 5 contracts going at once.
Oh,
So, you
okay.
know, but we're only, you know, by the spring of next year, we'll have 3 areas within the county that are under construction: the Inner Harbor area, the Southern Interchange, and the Northern Interchange. And so the other 2 contracts I'll just go over really quick, really briefly, are contract 4 and 5, and they round out phase 1 of the project. And so contract 4 is where we're going to add entrance and off ramps from 690 onto Irving Ave and South Krause Avenue. And so these are just, you know, when we talk about that grid aspect, there's going to be, you know, we have other entry points instead of everybody. Right now, everybody, if you want to go downtown, you have to get off on Harrison and Adams. So in the future, you can either take the business loop to go downtown. You can, you know, stay on 690 or jump on 690 and get off here at Irving and go up to the hill. Or you can, if you're coming from the east, you can get off on Krause and go up to the hill. And, you know, so there's other ways to get to and through downtown than just Adam and Harrison. So that's
Yeah,
what these, yeah.
and I think the other thing, TeNesha, is I'm thinking about it, or because 690 is not going to be affected, unless, well, it is going to be affected because you're constructing a new on and off ramp over there. But I'm saying, generally speaking, that piece of 690 is not going to be, no part of 690 is coming down.
No parts coming down. We are reworking parts of 690 in phase 2, which are contracts 6, 7, and 8, because we have to shift it a little bit in some places. But you know, it's not, 690 is just going to be reworked, you know, reconstructed basically. It's not coming down at all, no. And then last but not, and so this contract 4 will be, you know, if all things go well, it'll be awarded sometime next year, and they'll begin construction sometime next year, we'll say. And then also last but not least is our South Side contract, which is really starting from Colvin Street, where we're building a new off-ramp from the business loop. If you're headed from, you know, the south side of Syracuse on the business loop headed north, there's going to be an off-ramp at Colvin. That's not there today. And then this contract runs all the way up to Van Buren, which is where there will be that new roundabout that was once at Martin Luther King, that the community did not want it there. So NYS moved it to this location here at the bottom of the hill on Van Buren.
You should say that there's a couple of community outreach centers, right?
Yes.
One at the Hills building, that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I believe.
Yep.
And that's from, and then, oh, there you go.
Yes.
What's she ready for me?
Ready. Yeah, we're heavy in our community engagement. You know, we meet with elected officials, we meet with our stakeholders, we meet with community groups. If you're a community group and you'd like to have a presentation, contact me. We're happy to come out and update anyone on the project. Because these people, you all are a credible messenger. So when we give these interviews or we talk to community groups, we know that the information is getting put out accurately, and we're also collecting feedback from people too. So if you want to reach us in person, you can come to any of our outreach centers. As George said, we have 2, one at Tucker Missionary Baptist Church off Oakwood, and then our second one is the Hills building downtown, which is right off Montgomery. And so they're alternating hours. The Hills building's open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 4, and the Tucker Outreach Center is open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 6 p.m. And so we also have open houses. We recently had one last month in Cicero for the Northern Interchange, and we're going to be having another open house for the Southern Interchange for people who are interested about what's happening in that contract later this fall. And then we'll continue going on with contracts 3, open houses, and if we need to come back around, we'll do that as well. So we're pretty heavily involved in our community engagement. You can reach us through our website, through email, we have a hotline. We're constantly, you can get on our email list and we'll email you our press releases and our travel advisories. We're at the festivals in the summertime. We have social media accounts. We're putting together a monthly digital newsletter. We're anticipating having a mobile app YouTube videos, podcasts, anything that we can do to reach the masses. We're using all of our communication tools to do that. So please get in touch with us if you have any questions or concerns or have feedback for us.
Yeah, and you're right. I think the Martin Luther King thing was a really big thing for the community because obviously the school is right there, and but the bottom line is, you know, the work is being done, and you can see it, like I said, in DeWitt. You can see it in Cicero, and TeNesha gave us a nice little overview of all of the work. But if you have more questions, again, check out those. They're walk-in centers. So the Hills Building is downtown, right there on East Washington Street. I believe it is 201 East Washington Street or something like that. And Tucker's on 515 Oakwood Avenue. So those are the two places that you can turn to walk in. And again, TeNesha's available to do presentations to your group. This has been going on for a long time, right? Because TeNesha, I haven't been on a regular daily show for 13 years, right? Daily TV show for 13 years, right? And we were talking about 81 before that. So, yeah. Because even the website says, one of the websites says, not yours, but you know, this is supposed to be done by 2017. And this is 2023. So
and we're just starting.
Right. This was because I remember this was about 2010, and they were doing all the community inputs and meetings, and here we are. But you know what? Here we are. We're here.
That's right.
So
never give up.
All right, that's it. So listen, 81 is moving forward. We got new construction, we got a new business loop, and there's lawsuits, and so we'll see where that goes. But at least the judge said that some of the work could start. So
yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me, George. Like I said, anybody that wants any presentation, feel free to contact me, and we're happy to come out and talk to you guys.
And how should they do that, TeNesha?
They can reach me. Listen, go through our website. I'll put it up here, and but you can go through our website, i81.dot.gov, and my information. It's a contact us section on there, and just go through that, and then it'll give you the ways to contact us, and we will we'll reach out.
All right, TeNesha Murphy, PIO, Public Information Officer for the New York State Department of Transportation.
That's right.
Thank you, TeNesha, so much, and continue good work. Always good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Inspiration for the nation.